It's Turok, and today another One Piece chapter has come out, and so much. Oda gives us so much again to chew on, and it's awesome. So a little recap, like I like to do. Last chapter, he he had two parts. The last chapter, where first he focused on Bonnie and Vegapunk. I see the names and I still have a problem. Bonnie and Vegapunk. He was explaining about what he did and his guilt over it, and that if Vegapunk told Bonnie what he did, it only would hurt her more. And she discovered that Kuma had this bubble of his thing. The way he creates his the way he uses his powers, he can manifest. We all at this point only thought of it as like pain and stuff in a bubble that has a little paw shape, but supposedly this could also be his memories, and I suspect possibly his something akin to his soul or memories. Actually, I forgot that Tekking always calls it he was speculating that it would be basically on a flash drive stored away somewhere, which is a fun way to think about it because I use those things all the time. And the second part went back to the Straw Hats, Zoro and Brook, and then Nami and Usopp and the others specifically, as they're dealing with the CP0 agents at the top of the lab now. And we briefly have more fighting between Zoro and Kaku, and the Seraphim start destroying the lab. And the big climax, the cliffhanger here we find out is that Stussy really was like a sleeper, an agent. I don't know, that's not the right word for this in this case, because she is not working for CP0, but is helping Vegapunk. And she knocks out Kaku at the end of this chapter. And we also had a title card showing that she is in actuality a clone of Miss Buckingham, the first successful clone, it says, by the way, and that Stussy was part of the Miss Buckingham was of the Rocks Pirates. And so yeah, I had a lot of speculation in my last video I made about this, and I saw part of Tekking's, and I liked where he was going with something too, and I didn't think about this in that maybe Edward Weevil is even a clone of Whitebeard, one that didn't come out as successfully. And I don't know what else other characters. I wonder what other characters he may speculated were. Hopefully this stays up here. Hold on. Were clones of what other characters out there could be clones, perhaps, of other people. So yeah, let's see. And was there anything else? So this chapter, I got to credit to Oda here. He really knows how to, from a perspective of a storyteller, whether it be writing in general, and that's what I'm thinking of in my head. I like to read a lot of books, and Oda's, especially now, is taking on I don't know what you would call it. Is right if there's a slang, a proper naming for this sort of storytelling technique, but he knows how to. He's getting good at having something very important happen and then cutting away to something else. Off the top of my head, Dan Brown novels. That author, he does this a lot in his novels, and many others I've read over the years. Because now in this chapter, as we get into it here, we see that he'll be cutting away from. He doesn't show anything at all. It continuing what Bonnie and Vegapunk are doing in that chamber, that lab area with Kuma's memory bubble. Also, because I keep forgetting to do this in the beginning. So yeah, we have the cover page is cover page is continuing the backstory of Mads, and this one is about shows that Vegapunk years ago got a prize, which I guess is supposed to be like the Nobel Peace Prize, for developing a flower that could bloom in gunpowder. And we see here, I think, probably, I'm guessing part of the reason Mads may have disbanded, because first we see here Caesar, Judge, and Queen in the background, like astonished at this, that he got the award, or maybe that he even made this kind of flower. Also in the background of this cover page, it shows two tanks with their drivers on top, and they're going at each other, but there's all these flowers, going around them, probably growing out of nothing. It looks out of probably as they're firing their, oh, that's what it is. Oh, they're surprised, no, because it showed them surprise, and I was a little confused. Apparently, whenever these rounds that the tanks are firing at the moment in that image, they are not destroying one another, because as they fire, the gunpowder is just producing the flowers everywhere. Although I think that's a little inaccurate of how it would work. Not that the gunpowder couldn't do that, but it still should be firing some kind of round. Oh, maybe just the round doesn't even fly out enough because the gunpowder is not properly igniting. Anyways, getting into the science of that too much. So what I was just gonna say is, I bet that Mads disbanded partially just due to the fact that Vegapunk was just so far ahead of the other three as far as a scientist, as far as being creative, let's say, and creative in different areas, that the others probably wanted to go off and do their own thing because they were looking like they would be overshadowed by Vegapunk's genius, his creativity in specific. I think these other guys are not creatively, let's say, geniusly bankrupt. It's just that they're more like, you could call them like in the realm of a normal, well-educated scientist, creative scientist, and Vegapunk's just someone who's always thinking of all kinds of new stuff, the future type of stuff that they said he's known for. Okay, so there's that. So now we continue right where the chapter left off, and with Lucci dealing with the fact that he realizing that there's this I'm not going to call her a comrade to him. His colleague is not on his side, and he attempts to quickly attack her, and probably a good idea. In my opinion, I would have done the same thing. In that situation, I mean, I would have probably done the same thing. And we find Stusty's got some interesting techniques of other things she can do here. And she uses something called paper art and heartbreak after image. And she created a doppelganger thing there to that Lucci attacks using one of his, I don't know what attack that is. He's using his index finger to stab at her. And she moves behind him somehow. So I don't know if she used that with like speed, or she has something like this hair. Can't hear, that's what they're doing. Hair, using speed or something else to get around him, but he was distracted partially by attacking what looked like her, but was really an after image. And so what she ends up doing here, she gets behind him with and she uses some kind of lipstick here, which I think is supposed to be this, was sea stone, Rob Lucci comments on. Maybe that's what's helping her bite into him, and then it shows her bite into him and bite him like Hijikaku and knock him straight out. And she even comments like, I couldn't fight you guys fair and square. You're too strong for me. So I had to use these kind of tactics. So this was an interesting way to see Lucci go out. My gosh. First, we have a cool fight with Luffy, which looks like he was, from what I saw and what I think others even said, he looked like he was outmatched easily, but maybe he could have pushed himself more. And Luffy still, I don't think, in some ways, I think Luffy could have lost that fight because I doubt he can hold that form for very long. And Lucci, I suspect, must have gained his awakening probably quite a bit further back than Luffy has, and probably could have held that form longer and maybe wore Luffy down as long as he didn't take too much battle damage in that time limit that I'm proposing Luffy has. Wait, hold on a second. And so while this was happening, we saw Brook and Zoro actually watched this encounter unfold. And Brook especially is like, what's going on? How they're at each other's throats now? And Zoro, calls it friendly fire, which is pretty accurate. So now Stussy goes and reports to Vegapunk that she knocked them out. And we reveals here from Stalka. Wait a second, is that his right name? I've been calling him the wrong name in the last two chapters. This one and the last one. Shaka. I keep saying Stalka. Shaka. Shaka here reveals that. Excuse me. I had an energy drink. She reveals that he knew all along that she was part of that group, and only he knew about it. Though I don't know if he means like Vegapunk himself, that Shaka Vegapunk, or is that no? They all share their knowledge. Should have to be the other Vegapunks, right? And she's been there 20 years as one of their agents, actually. So wait a minute. Oh, I guess that ruins my one idea. What was it? No. Actually, no, that doesn't. So she must have joined. This brings up something. Yeah, so she must have joined. This Dusty was probably created when Match was still a group, and that was 22 years ago. They probably disbanded, around that time, because the flashback with Dragon and Vegapunk at O'Hara was 22 years ago, and he was starting to work for the government at that point. And so Stussy must have went off to join there. I don't know if that means Vegapunk wanted her to join there. If they coordinated a plan together to do that, or that she decided to do this herself. As she Vegapunk gave her allowed her own choices. Like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? This is I created you. You're this clone of Miss Buckingham, but go out and do what you want. And from what we see, she has loyalty to him, maybe like grateful for her life, kind of thing. That would make sense in this kind of story. Yeah, we see the other Straw Hats like, what the hell? What just happened? Oh, no, there it is. I clarified part of my question. No, one of them says, is that Robin or Nami? Probably Nami. Like, you had a mole working with the intelligence branch. That's very clever. That's awesome. But no, Shaka says that wasn't their intention. Okay. So maybe she did just want to do that because she wanted to be useful? I'm not sure. We don't get her motivations in this one. So now the next problem that comes up, though, is that the Seraphim are still attacking, and Stussy can't stop them. Since it points out that because her authority is the same as Lucci's, you need someone. It needs to be someone higher than the next. Someone next one has to be higher. Someone has to come in who has a higher authority to. I just thought something for later. Has to come in as higher authority to stop the Seraphim from listening. That stop them from doing whatever order they're carrying out. I'm sorry. And so the Seraphim are still making their way to the to get there. Making their way to destroy the lab. And so now we see that Lilith and Edison are rushing out there to try to hurry up and stop them. And meanwhile, Zoro and Brook and him are rushing to try and stall them from destroying the lab until the others come out. So I don't know if actually, do they know the others are coming out? They don't show that they're in communication. No, they probably aren't. But Zoro knows that the others are in that lab, and him and Brook are hurrying to try and stop him from killing the other Straw Hats. And Brook is like, Brook is the one who points out, hey, these guys are kind of familiar, don't you think? Because they hadn't seen these things just yet. Only the other Straw Hats who went into the lab have. And Zoro's like, yeah, I know, especially that one, referencing Mihawk, I'm sure. Although Jinbei, no. Well, he says especially that one, which made me think he meant Mihawk, but at this point in the story, Jinbei and Kuma would also be very well familiar to all the Straw Hats. The only difference right here would be that Luffy would recognize Boa right away. I think the Straw Hats saw her briefly at Sabaody, because if I remember right, if I remember correctly, I think Sanji was quite upset to realize that Luffy's been hanging out. Luffy didn't do this, but Sanji thought Luffy was hanging out with Boa all this time and was extremely jealous, and as if he never mind. Sanji bothers me the most because of that, because he seems like he's really into Nami, and I kind of think they'll probably hitch up after this story's over, like the posting. But he's really can't let go of the idea of trying to court other women, and it's just this really annoys me. And so what happens next? So Lilith gets out there quickly and tries to make them listen, and she actually almost gets killed here by Mihawk's Seraphim, and Zoro has to step in there and stop him. So Zoro here is realizing, oh, you're not the same. Like maybe Zoro, I wonder if Zoro was thinking this was like Mihawk's kid or something like that. And he's like, what are you? What you look similar, but you're not the same. So while that's happening, the Edison gets out there and keeps yelling the orders out to stop. And this eventually, so at first it looks like Edison got killed there too. But he eventually is able to. Oh wait, is that Sanji? Sorry, there's so much happening in here. I sometimes get a little confused at how this is working out. Oh yeah, it looked like Edison they make it out like Edison looked like he got killed, but then Sanji jumps down and is holding Edison. So he must have been keeping Edison from getting blasted while he was yelling the orders. So this is where we're near the end here, and the Seraphim finally stop listening, and Zoro's getting exasperated. They're like, what the hell's going on? What are these things? Someone keep getting me up to speed here. And Stussy then is reporting in that she's got Lucci and Kaku tied up with sea stone, or probably using some kind of handcuffs, really. And Vegapunk's like, okay, thanks, did a good job. Let's now get over here on the ship. Oh, you think they'll take the Seraphim with them if they can get out of there? Hold on again. At this point, I'm wondering if they're planning on taking the Seraphim as well, because Dusty's planning on going with them. And then you got Usopp saying, stop adding people. Actually, I'm a little confused by that. Why is Usopp worried about them adding people? I'm sure their ship can handle it. Is he just mad that they're not asking permission? Is this kind of something of a cultural thing with them, Japanese? Like, you gotta ask permission. Like, don't just keep bringing people on the trip. I kind of get where he's coming from, but in this situation, I wouldn't be angry that they're bringing more of these people. It's like, okay, this needs to happen. Usopp, stop. Now's not the time to get upset over this. But I feel like I'm not understanding the contextual. Cultural aspect of how the Japanese would think about, hey, we're bringing more people with us. And then we'd probably be like, hey, slow down. I'm suspecting. And the last bit of this on the Egghead Island in this arc has Luffy running around trying to find Vegapunk. And we get left off with the little boxes from, like, I guess, like the narrator, like Oda, saying an unexpected development happened here where Vegapunk's stellar body has vanished. So what that means, wow, it's just some speculation. I'm trying to think if that means Bonnie and him left. Ooh, there's something. I just thought maybe what's going to happen next, my little theory here on what I think will happen next, I bet that Bonnie and Vegapunk are going to go find Kuma and restore his memories. Maybe Bonnie didn't give Vegapunk a choice in the matter. She's probably left somehow on her own, taking that bubble and taking Vegapunk to make sure it's done right, to go help Kuma, to go find her father. I bet that's what's going to happen. Interesting. I'm going to go with that right now. Anyway, so now we get home to the next main scene of this chapter, and we actually go to the island where Whitebeard was born. So I forgot the name of it up till now. It's called Sphinx, according to this. And so what's happening here is that Marco has just shortly returned to the island from, no wait, we did show him, did we see him actually dropped off here? Yeah, I know he was hitching a ride with Shanks. Shanks brought him back here. So this is not too long after, and he's talking with some of the citizens he's friendly with the most. And you got these little kids and some others talking, saying how they were scared. And what we find out is that Marines stormed the island while he was gone. Actually, I should look up what this guy's name is. He looks very familiar. 1 second. Can't find this guy's name. He looks familiar, but I don't know where he's from. I thought at first this Marine was the one. I'm pretty sure. Where is he? I was thinking about that one from. I think this was back at Arlong Park. He was a Marine there, some rank that was working with Arlong, and got that weasel-like face. Where'd that picture of him just go? Come on, where'd you go? I was thinking he was Nezumi, who was in the Arlong Park arc. But this guy looks a little different. He's got this animal-like face, though. So we get this flashback here from the perspective of the citizens of Sphinx. So these Marines here are some of the more rubbish members that shouldn't really be part of it. So what they do is they must have found out somehow that Marco was gone, or maybe they just, I don't know if they had intel he's gone or just guessed. They got right, lucky, I'm trying to say. But they stormed the island together because they know this is Whitebeard's homeland, and this island's still apparently not affiliated with the government. They have no legal rights. So they come here also looking for Whitebeard's treasure, much like we know Weevil and his mother is looking around. And the people are telling him here, we don't have anything. Oh yeah, he does know Marco's not around. All right, so telling him we don't have anything. And this guy starts just pointing guns at the little kids that we saw here, the two that were shown first talking to Marco, and the one is they're pointing the gun at the smallest brother, and the older one steps up and like, hey, and is trying to get in the way. He doesn't attack the guy. This kid's probably like 4 or 5 years old, and he's like defending his little brother. And then there's an old lady here. This old lady here is also like yelling at him, like, "Hey, why are you treating us like we're not humans? It's because we're not part of the government. You're monsters." And this asshole plans on making an example and has his other men. You hold the old lady and prepares to shoot her. And Weevil steps in. Somewhere out of nowhere, Weevil steps up in an act that does help show that he's got a good heart. We kind of knew that already. It's just, it seems like him being with his mom, we don't know. That's something that's going to come up in a moment. He's not afraid to harm anyone who, that his mother's going to basically tell him are bad people. He he hasn't gained enough of an agency or autonomy to think for himself. I think these people are good. I shouldn't always listen to someone else type thing. Anyways, he stuffs up and knocks the hell out of all these Marines. Oh, there's that guy's name, Captain Raytel. Hold on a sec, let's find that. There's that guy's name. Hold on. Captains. What do I got? Captains. No, he's not in the list down here. Maybe this guy's new. So this captain is knocked back, and the others freak out because they know who it is. And they start fleeing at the sight of him because these guys know they're no match for someone like him. And they get out of there and calling for backup. So we don't know. Yeah, so they must have called for backup. So that's the end of the. That's the end of the thing. Oh yeah, so yeah, Weevil's like mad because they're attacking this place, which is his father's home, and he says as much here. Don't attack Papa's home, and oh, is that the right admiral? Yeah. So that's the end of the flashback, and Marco's like, oh great, that guy's such a nice hero, such a great guy. I'm glad you're all safe. And now what we find, next here, we see that Miss Bakken, actually I think it was, Bakken shows up from out of nowhere. So she must not have been captured. And she says, no, that's not where it ended, Marco. And she's screaming at him and crying, it looks like. And who do you think they sent for backup? And so we found out Aramaki came himself. And he was able to overpower Weevil. Kind of makes sense. Weevil's very powerful, but how is he going to stop a forced power? And they captured Weevil here. She's not keeping her priorities ass straight because she says, "Wow, you're at it. Fork over Newgate's inheritance." And then we get a brief flashback there where she's crying on the shores, seeing the ship go off, and he hear him yelling "Mama" from the ship. Hold on. Wait a minute now. Where's this going? Oh, okay, this panel. Is this panel? I think this panel's written a little weird. Okay, because it says, because now it goes back to the present here, and Spukkin's crying here, and going, oh my God, she's dramatizing this basically, saying, oh, this is just so sad. They took away my poor noble boy, and he's such a great kid, and now he's stuck with those evil Marines, just because he was protecting his father's village. And Marco's in the back like, I appreciate you protecting these guys, but and then she screams at him, like, I can tell from your tone, you don't think he's Whitebeard's son. Why do you doubt it? And Marco retorts, well, let's prove that then. I know someone who can prove it. Dr. Vegapunk. Hold on. So now everyone's going to be heading toward Vegapunk. Jesus. Now even Marco and Bakken are going to go see Vegapunk apparently, or try to. And that's where it ends there. And she's all oh wait, by the way, I forgot to say, this points out something that I was partially wrong about with the Bakken. It says here, a title card shows up when she approaches Marco, and it clarifies her position. She said she was a former member of the Rock Pirates, a self-proclaimed scientist, and it says that she was Mad's resident freeloader. So I was wrong. I thought maybe she was just like the ship's doctor for rocks. It doesn't. This says self-proclaimed scientist, and so she apparently wasn't doing much work when she was with the Mads. Maybe that's why they kicked her out very quickly then. Yes, well, come on. My kitty came back. So, yeah, that threw out my main theory last chapter about her position and her help she may have provided for the Mads. Probably very little to none, other than being given over some DNA to help make Stussy. So now we get to the last part, and this is really going to throw a wrench into things if these people reach Egghead. So we have the Marine fleet. This is Kizaru's Marine fleet heading toward. He's taken to the Egghead Island. That was that Sakazuki sent them. That's his name. Oh yeah, Sakazuki. And we see that we get a little mystery here where some other officer approaches because Kizaru and like, okay, Kizaru, we brought the tea and snacks for you and your guest. And someone else says, "Are you sure?" Oh, that's what it is. So Kizaru asks him, "Are you sure that there's no poison in these snacks?" So we get the implication of how important this guest is. And the other person's like, yep, it's all good. And then Kizaru sends that guy off. And we get the little flags. We show flags here to hint at us. The Marine flag, which we expected, but we see that there's a world government flag too. So Kizaru goes in here, this room, and talks to this person about, have you met Vegapunk before? And we find out that it's one of the Gorosei members. And we finally get a name card for this one. Because at this point, I'm pretty sure we still have never got any formal names for them. And Tekking, I love it. Tekking had names for all of them. I know he called the one Samurai Gandhi, and he's the one who's got the more like traditional kind of maybe Japanese or Asian style robes. And he does look a bit like Gandhi because he's got no hair and he's wearing glasses. And most interesting about him, well, one thing is that guy always appeared to me to be the one who's in charge of the Gorosei, a little more gravitas over the others. He also, though, looks like he's holding the other Kitetsu blade. The first one it would be then, if it is, because we know Zoro's got the third, and the second one's at Wano. And he's always holding that sword in every scene that we've seen him in. But this is the one with all the hair, the little, I don't know, like dreadlock-looking hair. He's also one of the oldest looking ones, along with that Gandhi, Samurai Gandhi. And he's got, wears a cap. Wait a second. So what do the other ones look like again? 1 second again. Yeah, I always had to forget their faces. So they don't have any names. Yeah, the other ones, there's the one with has the big old mustache, and I think he was stylized after some Russian prime minister or whoever. There's the one with the longer beard. And then, yeah, Gandhi, right. So this is the one, there's the one image. He's the one, when I think it's from that first image they showed of him. He was sitting in the chair. Yeah, and he's got so we get a name card for this guy, too, finally. So this guy says, yeah, he once met Vegapunk a long time ago, and I think it's such a shame what's happening now. So we get a title card, which goes on with a couple of things we already knew. The highest authority in the world, one of the 5 elders. Actually, at first that made me think, is he the leader of the 5 elders? But I think that just meant for the elders. So this guy's name is Saint J. Garcia Saturn. And this is where we end the chapter. So interesting, they're going with a motif, I'm thinking, of planets with the Gorosei, I'm thinking. So let's see, if they use Saturn, let me guess, they'll probably have like Mars, Jupiter, Uranus. Well, they use Pluto. It's not really a planet anymore. Maybe Venus. Venus is usually for a woman. The Venus is a Roman goddess. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury maybe, and Neptune, something like that. I bet they'll use something like that. Mars, Neptune, Mercury, Jupiter. I bet they'll use for the other ones, if they use something like that. So this throws a wrench in something stuff too now, that because if this guy arrives at the island when the Seraphim are still there, his command supersedes Vegapunk's, according to the hierarchy that we were shown a few chapters ago. And then, of course, too, what the hell's this guy doing here? Why is he here? Now they personally want to see, appears that I'm guessing they must be personally really worried about Vegapunk, and now they're sending, one of them had to actually go this time. Unlike something like even O'Hara, the incident at O'Hara, one of them didn't show up. Oh, Tekken's got his video up. Sweet. So, this really begs a question. Well, yeah, I already asked the question. Like, what does Vegapunk, does Vegapunk know more stuff that maybe he, that they're worried about his escape? If he escapes, what knowledge will he pass on to the world that they don't want others to know about? I'm still thinking there's something with that machine. We'll have to see. I mean, Vegapunk's probably could still be hiding that he worked on that, I think. Yeah, he's there with Kizaru. And, oh boy. Oh, I was just reading the notes. There's someone in the chapter I wrote here thinks that this character might be reference. The name of this Gorosei might be referenced to some musician. So holy hell. The CP0's knocked out, but now we got Kizaru and Gorosei himself coming. Shit's getting real. Anyways, I think I'll leave the chapter there, and I'll do a follow-up video at some point. Have a good one.